Right. Hey, everybody. We're just coming in here to talk about easing your kids back into the school day. I'm Kristen McNeil. I have two kids. They are ages 11 and 8, just turned 8. And they go to a traditional school setting. So they, leave early in the morning, are done in the afternoon. So I'll be talking about a couple things that parents can do to kind of ease their kids back into that kind of transition. And then we also have Melissa here. Melissa, if you want to introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Melissa Stadler. I have three kids, ages 13, 11, and 9. We don't do traditional schools over here, we're homeschooled, but we do participate in a few different co-ops that meet on a weekly basis that require us to get ready, get organized, get out the door, get social, and get ready to learn and interact with other people. That's always a process, isn't it? No matter how you do it. I feel like that's one of those things that's similar across the
It
board.
really is. And just trying to get back into the routine that now there's and not that summertime didn't necessarily have a schedule. Like I feel like there's still a schedule. It's just different,
Yeah.
right? Like the school year routine is is something you have to prepare for, like wrap your head around. It's new, it's different, and from the summer, and it takes a lot more brain power.
It is. It is. Although one thing that I think is helpful to mention within this conversation, especially for people who have a kiddo who's going for the first time, whether it's full day preschool, kindergarten, something like that. I think sometimes in a very well-meaning way, we come at the kids with our excitement and we're like, aren't you so excited to be starting kindergarten? And I ask kids about that sometimes because I'm really interested in their response. Here's the thing. If the kid's already excited, well, yeah, your enthusiasm is going to be like, heck yeah, I'm even more excited now. If they're even a little apprehensive and they're like, aren't you excited? That question almost feels like a reminder, like oh my gosh, am I doing this wrong? And I haven't even started yet because I'm not excited. I'm nervous. So sometimes coming at the beginning process with a little bit of reading of your own kid and whether or not you think that that kind of enthusiasm would be a boost to them or not. And if you're not so sure, then being a little bit more nonchalant about it could be a good strategy.
That's a really good point. Yeah, because you don't want them to feel like they need to be feeling a certain way when they're not.
Why not be? And that's okay. That doesn't mean that they won't like school and adjust to it. It might just be that this initial process is different for them.
Yeah, absolutely. And school can be really scary for any grade, any child, whether they're just starting out in, preschool, kindergarten, or even, beyond that, that new year, the new teacher. Maybe they're going to a different school and so they don't really know the kids. Or maybe they've found out that they're not going to be in the same class this year as some of their close friends. Like, that's really
Hard.
scary, like
Yeah.
that unknown
Yeah.
feeling, like what's this going to be like?
I know. That one is hard. Scary, and also, especially once they get going, I mean, the sensory experience of just being in school all day around the noise and the lights and the excitement and all the other kids, I mean, that's a pretty big adjustment for some of these kids as well. So, just kind of keeping that on your radar that they might have gone from like quiet environment at home to suddenly, there's 30 other kids at top volume. That's a lot. That's a big adjustment.
Super overwhelming, absolutely. So some of the ways that my kids and I here at home kind of start to get ourselves back into the school year is just making sure that or beginning to make sure that every morning when we wake up, the routine is the same, or it's fairly similar. I keep it really easy. It's they have to, first of all, get out of bed, get dressed, and brush their teeth and use the bathroom. Like those are four things. There's the four main things that have to happen. Now, if your kids require those tasks to be broken down even more than that, that's fine. And always please make sure that if you're just, especially in the beginning, if your child is just one of those kids that, like, yes, they might know how to do things, but maybe they just need a little bit of comfort and coddling. almost in the morning where they want that help, like they want you to pick out their clothes, they want you to help them get dressed, that is still okay. You do not have to force that independence of, and say things like, well, you know how to get your shoes on, or you know how to put on a pair of pants. You need to do that right now. Like, no, just skip all of that
Mhm.
part and help them do it. They're not asking for the help because they necessarily, not because they don't know how to do the task. Of course they do. They're asking for help because they're just trying to seek that connection with you, because what they're about to do might be overwhelming and scary, and they just need that initial comfort of having that, that reassurance. Mom or dad, or whoever is with them in the morning, is caring for them, helping them. It just offers like a sense of comfort before they begin their day. So factor that into your time. If you're also getting up and having to go to work and get ready, like factor that into your time where you're going to have to help your child get dressed, and it's okay. Like, that is okay to do. Don't think of it as a failure, or like, oh my gosh, my child is in second grade and I'm still dressing him in the morning. That's okay. Like, whatever works is fine, as long as your mornings are calm and peaceful, and not, they don't have to be like happy, but calm and peaceful is the goal here, right? So whatever you need to do to make that happen is the best. And so going back to like the four things that my children know to do, we do this in the summer too, like all through the summer. And I mean, not every day, like some days they can get up and just, laze around, do nothing, but it's a thing before we leave the house. Like, did you use the bathroom? Are you dressed? And did you brush your teeth? And that's about it. I keep that as easy as possible. But it's the beginning in the morning, because that's then it's just normal. When we get up for school, it's normal. Those things have to be done. And as long as those things are done, whatever else happens, I'm okay with.
Uh, Kristen, I love your point on that, because I do think that with our kids, just because they can do something entirely by themselves doesn't mean that they want to, or that it meets emotional needs for them to do it entirely by themselves all of the time.
Right.
It's kind of like this, like you and I could absolutely cook ourselves dinner, but isn't it so nice when somebody does it for you once in a while? And so,
Absolutely.
yeah, I saw this post from the people over at Conscious Discipline a few weeks ago, and they did a really lovely job of breaking down what they identified as the transition to the school year. They described it as the first 6 weeks. I feel like that's pretty accurate, like a pretty
Yeah.
good, we're moving and this feels new, we're getting used to it kind of thing. And they identified this need for two different components. First is routine, and then the second one is ritual.
Hmm.
And that was interesting to me. I'm like, how are we defining these two things? How are we separating them? And they define routine as the question of safety. Am I safe? So they are, in the very beginning, especially, picture them like walking into the classroom. They don't know that lady. They don't know, these other kids around them. They don't know what time lunch is. They don't know what's going to happen if I fall and hurt myself. They have these kinds of questions about, am I physically safe in this space? Am I emotionally safe in this space? When we back that up to the school morning, when we are getting them ready and getting them out the door, we should kind of anticipate that they are thinking about that they are considering that their mind might be several steps ahead. And so figuring out what shirt to wear just doesn't feel to scale to their current
Right.
experience. And then the second one, rituals. Conscious discipline had described that as the question of connection. Am I loved? And I thought that that was actually a really sweet distinction to use the word love within the context of a school setting, because I don't know, I give these teachers so much credit. I think that they do an amazing job of making so many of these spaces really feel like loving, caretaking kind of spaces.
Hmm.
But the kids don't know that at first. That's a really big adjustment there too. You don't know me, and the question of, do you see me? Will you get to know me? Will I feel validated? Will I feel like I'm doing okay here? Will I make friends here? Those are all really big questions that the kids have. And so kind of forming those routines and rituals at home, but answering those questions at home really intentionally before the kids go, am I safe? Am I loved? Primes them to go into that experience kind of already with their cup full a little bit, so that when they're
Absolutely.
in the unknown of the school environment, they can take some breaths and know that it's okay, that they can work through it.
Yep. Yes, I really love that. Going along with, you mentioned you saw that or read that over on conscious discipline. Um, there was another post that I saw recently, and it was just, I don't even know where I saw it written, and so I apologize. I can't cite it. But the mom was talking about something that she and her child do is they do a dry run before the school year starts. And so they wake up at the time that they're going to have to be waking up. They go through the process of getting ready, like everything, backpack, what needs to be done, and then they get in the car and they drive to the school. But they don't obviously go into the school, then they go and get donuts, and they use it as just like having a breakfast date and just talking about all the things that they want to do. This can be done with like older children, middle school children, even if you have a kid in high school, especially newly going into high school, and maybe they're going to school earlier now, and so they have to get up even earlier, like just kind of working through that, working through all the kinks, not waiting until the first day of school, and doing like a dry run or two. How are they getting to school? That can help create that feeling of safety for that child as well. Because they know now like what's going to happen. They have an expectation. They know what they can do if something were to go wrong, especially if they're taking themselves to school
Yeah.
for the first time. Like where, who can they call? Where can they go? What door do they go into? Where do they park? Just all those kinds of, little things that make us nervous when we're going to new places. And we, hopefully most of us like set ourselves up for success by like running, doing dry runs in our head. Like we have to teach our kids how to do that too, right? Like here's everything that you can expect to happen, and when they do happen, here's how we handle it. So it can be done even with older children too. And I thought that was just a really sweet thing. And I think we've never actually done like a true dry run here, but with my daughter going to a new building this year, I think we might
Yeah.
have to do that to start that.
I think that that is a fantastic idea, especially when you're talking about familiarity. Even just like I've seen this building before.
Mm-hmm.
In elementary school, if you can make time to get the kids over to the playground, I mean, even just having the confidence of like, I can't wait to slide down that pole at recess or something like that can make such a big difference because there's something in about the space that already feels familiar to them. And they're going into recess with a
Absolutely.
little bit more confidence. I think that that particular space is one that can be helpful to go into a little bit more confidence with. Um,
Absolutely.
yeah, so I think that, and then also, oh, I lost my train of thought here for a second. Can we pause? We're doing really well. It was gone.
You were doing so well.
It's gone. What was I going to say? Um,
So you're talking about recess and how just getting comfortable in the space, especially because recess is a time where that can be stressful as well for kids.
yeah, you're going to have to keep talking. It's going to come to me.
No problem. You keep thinking about it, about, recess and just being in the building, in the school, and I'm gonna kind of move on to immediately after school. So after school is another thing, especially in the beginning of the school year. Kids come home. You may notice this if you have like a new kindergartner who's maybe going full day for the first time, or even in a new space, new building. I even noticed this with my younger son, who will now be going into third grade. But I still have noticed this even through second grade, like right after school, they are exhausted. And he will still sometimes, nap if like maybe we're in a car or something driving longer, maybe like to go to a sporting event or something like that. He will fall asleep. And when kids come home, they might be so overstimulated that they're going to be lashing out sometimes. Occasionally it will happen, or maybe all the time for some kids. So just having, kind of like maybe like a simple, easy routine when they get home, not placing too many demands on them,
Yes.
letting them kind of like relax and chill, have a snack, have a drink of something, and just veg out on the couch for a little while. Maybe they turn on their show, and I know that sometimes like that can feel stressful because you're like, well, no, I don't want screen time, and I get it. But if that's something that like they just want to do just to chill out and it doesn't cause any other issues, that's fine. If your kid is someone who like really they can't do screen time because maybe it causes a little bit more overstimulation, then just have the whole house be quiet, have the lights be dim, have some snacks out that they can choose from, and hold them, like snuggle them, don't be running around like, now we have to do this and now we have to do this, even though maybe you do have to do that. Just recognize that the school day when it ends is still super overwhelming. It's just that kind of like that release of emotion.
Yeah,
They're just tired.
they're exhausted. Sometimes I picture it like, I can't imagine as an adult spending 5 days a week in a first grade classroom. I will come home every
You
week
say that we have a ton of teachers in this group. They're going to be
with
like, that's my
many,
job,
but I
Melissa.
say that with undying respect, like truly, for the amount of energy and attention and like stimulation that goes
Yeah.
into that experience. And I think that that's true for the kids
Yes.
too. They don't necessarily have the language for it, but I think that there are a lot of kids out there who find that experience to be a lot. And then
Mm-hmm.
we mean well, but they'll come home from school and it's like, okay, let's just keep the momentum going, I think is sometimes the mindset that people have. They're like, let's get the backpacks out, let's get them unpacked, let's get the homework finished, let's get the lunches packed for the next day. And I get it because it does feel nice to just check those things off the list and then relax. But these kids might not have a single bit more of, first of all, inhibition control in them. They might need time to just like not have any sort of demands or expectations placed on them whatsoever. They also may just have no ability in them left to focus on any kind of productive task for a little while. I think that that's okay. If the lunch boxes need to wait, if the homework needs to wait, it's definitely, as soon as they walk in the door, it's definitely not the time to go over like the test score or something like that. Just give it a minute, let them kind of relax, let them breathe. I think that that can make for a much easier transition during that after school time.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Did you ever get back your train of thought?
I did.
Okay. Oh, let's hear it.
I didn't want to I thought like that it would be easier if we just let that be the after school conversation and then we would come to it. But this is what I was going to say before. You were talking about how, having it be that things are the same every morning and how that can be so helpful.
Yeah.
And what I was going to do was just agree with you that I think that kids in particular, I think that this is true of most of us, but kids in particular are just expert pattern recognizers. That's how they learn information about the world. I don't know if you've ever had the experience where you inadvertently started an association with your kids where it's like, I'll high five you after every soccer game. And then there's the one game where they're like, why didn't you high five me? And I'm like, oh, that's a thing, isn't it? We started a pattern there, and now this has meaning to you that I wasn't even aware of. We can use that to our advantage when we know that kids are scanning for patterns. We can really be intentional about creating them. That being said, I know that so many of us adults are getting out the door exhausted. These kids might have younger siblings. There might be a baby keeping you up. You might, you're getting ready for work. You're doing things yourself. You don't necessarily have like an hour's worth of time. That's where I would say that quality time is of real significance here. It does not need to be that you're identifying, 45 minutes worth of connective activities. It can be short. It can be simple. It could be just small things. And one that I think is sweet.
What?
Putting a little bit of your like perfume, like rolling it on the child's wrist, especially for real little ones. So it's like, oh, mom's with
I
me
like
kind of thing.
that.
I think that's really sweet. Having there be something simple like that that does not take a lot of time, but it's intentional. I think
Mm-hmm.
that's what means a lot. It makes them feel considered and it makes them feel like their emotional experience matters, which goes right back to that question of, am I loved? They are literally taking that with them to start their day. So I think that's
Absolutely.
a
Oh, I like that. I like the perfume idea.
good.
Or even like if you don't wear perfume, like even like some lotion, like maybe just get some, some lotion. You're both wearing lotion now, the same ones. I
Exactly.
know going along with that, like other little intentional ideas, especially for younger kids, is like, you each kiss like the palm of the hand, right? Or wearing like, matching bracelets when you
Mhm.
leave the house, and I really like those little things. Oh,
Yeah. Yeah. And asking your kid about it can be really helpful. Having like a meeting of sorts about this and being like, do you have any ideas for me? Even if they don't, the fact that they have been included in the discussion, I think is of a lot of value here. It shows them that you understand that you're not just making an assumption that this is automatically going to go smoothly. You're making room for the reality of the fact that there's going to be some great parts of this experience and there might be some parts of this experience that require an adjustment.
yeah,
And I think when we're honest with kids about that, instead of just being like, aren't you so excited? This is going to be amazing. If we can be like, there's going to be some parts of this that are really amazing. And there might be some parts of this that feel a little less amazing or that take a little bit of time to see it that way.
absolutely.
I think we build trust when we're honest about that.
Yeah. Definitely. And especially, with kids going into, I mentioned my daughter's going into a new building this year. It's going to be different. It's going to be different teachers, different staff, a whole ton more kids, and there's just so much change happening. And so being honest and being upfront and open about this change and about how some of it's not going to be comfortable, and that's okay. Discomfort is okay, can really go a long way. And instead of just being like, isn't this so exciting? Because
Yes.
it might not be exciting at all. It might be terrifying.
Yes.
And also with that, now that my daughter is getting older, I've noticed, and I don't know if you've noticed this with your older daughter too, or both of you out them now. Um, my daughter now has more of like a morning routine. Like she's experimenting with, doing different things with her hair. She's sometimes putting on a little bit of makeup, not too much, but has like now like a face washing routine that like,
Good for her.
we've kind of like she's doing this on her own over the summer. She wanted some products and stuff, and so we went shopping and we bought some things, and so now she's been doing that in the mornings when I'm doing my face routine, making sure that you're supporting your child in whatever kind of routine that they're beginning to make for themselves is huge. And noticing like if it's taking a little bit longer to get ready, you have to allow that time. So maybe making sure that they're getting up a couple minutes early, and being honest and open and honest with them, like, hey, if this is what you need to do in the morning, then we have to wake up a few minutes early so that we're not rushing, because the last thing you want to do is start criticizing them for the routine or what they're doing in the morning, like whatever they're doing for themselves, as they're getting older and into the middle school and high school age. That is comfort for them in building their own self-confidence and their awareness of their own body. You don't want to do anything to minimize that, especially right in the morning as they're going. So, no, like you just take too long in that damn bathroom, which I understand can sometimes happen and come out, but like
Yeah.
recognizing that they may need a few extra minutes to do these things that are brand new to them, that they're just discovering. Um, that was, yeah, that's going to be an adjustment for us, I think. This
I
new
love that.
routine.
I'm with you. I also think we've talked before about the Primac principle. This is a great place to apply it. That basically looks like habit stacking, pairing something we don't really want to do with something we really do want to do. So if it can kind of be like, this is the list of things that we need to check off, we need to get dressed, we need to brush our teeth. And once those things are accomplished, then play Legos until the bus comes. We kind of like associate those things together. That can be a
Absolutely.
really helpful part of the routine because if there is a kid who's a little bit apprehensive about getting to school, waking up and being like, oh gosh, I have to do these things these tasks that I don't really want to do just so I can get out the door to go to the place I don't really want to go to. There's nothing really anchoring that morning that's like giving them something to look forward to that could be kind of
Right.
an important step. And again, it doesn't need to be that they need 45 minutes worth of Lego time. It could be 10 minutes. But
Yeah.
as long as there is something there that's really anchoring the morning to, okay, I got the stuff done I needed to do. I had a little bit of time for myself to rest and to play. Now I'm ready to go.
Aw, I like that. Thank you for adding that. All right. I don't know. I think we've hit all the points we wanted to hit.
I think we did.
That was pretty good. If we think of anything else, we can just do another one.
We can do another one. I do think that this time of year gets pretty busy for us. I know my phone starts ringing. So I actually I think that that's probably another helpful thing to say, which is that if this time of year feels challenging, sometimes we can go big with it, especially like when kids are just starting school. It's like we, the adults, can be like, oh my gosh, are they going to never leave? It's easy for us to get carried away with our own fears and apprehensions. So I love teaching kids the word yet, and it can be really helpful for us too. So when they're coming to us and when they're like, if they're being really honest, I don't like it there. I don't want to go to school anymore. If we can validate that instead of just being like, well, no, what about all your friends? Like, we want to hear them and the experience that they're actually sharing. Doing so is not going to make them hate it more. In fact, it's just going to make them feel heard and allow them to kind of consider the other positive things about school more organically. But throwing in
Yeah.
that word yet, I hear you, kiddo, you don't like it yet. And just let that yet be loud. Let that little word say all of the other things that you're trying to say that you want to say, but that your kid just isn't ready for yet. It's just not their authentic experience yet.
Yeah.
Um, Give it some time. They will see those things for themselves, especially if you are in moments where they are not necessarily complaining or venting about the school process. If you can ask for something, hey, like, what's your favorite lunch that they serve? Or tell me about a kid who you've met who you think is funny. Give them prompts to talk about the parts of school that do feel good to them in moments that are separate from times where they might be expressing some of the parts that are tougher.
Absolutely. Yes. Keeping that separate, letting them experience that those like hard feelings so that they know in the future how to work through them because they don't always have to like mask them or cover them
Yeah.
or think like, oh, but this is okay. Like, no, it's okay to not feel so great about something and to
Yes.
have that experience.
Yeah.
I like that. All right. Well, we will finish up here. If anybody has any other really neat ideas for creating routines and rituals in the mornings before school or uh, after school as well to help your children, help your family be more, calm and peaceful in the home, go ahead and let us know what those are, and we'll chat soon. All right. Thanks,
Yeah.
Melissa.
Sounds good. Bye.
Bye.